Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I am so glad that you guys came over today to see another brand new video. If it is your first time here, welcome. My name is Lacey. The purpose of this channel is to document what God is doing in my life on a daily basis. I realized that I could look back and see changes years down the road, but I did not know daily how God was changing me, and I really wanted to document that. I really wanted to know how I was changing on a day-to-day basis, and I always figured that I did not live this 24 hours without a purpose, and so I wanted to document that and share it with all of you. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and those bell notifications so you know every time I upload a new video. So without further ado, let's get into the message. The state of the world has just been weighing on my heart. I feel like everybody's having the same reaction. Like your heart is heavy in the world. It was actually really hard to figure out what God was doing and telling me and working on me with, because I felt so consumed with the world. And every time I opened, Instagram or Facebook, or anytime I was talking to somebody, like these huge topics were coming up. And I understand that the world is in desperate need of change. But I was so brokenhearted and just honestly overwhelmed by what was going on in the world. And y'all, I was just worn out. Like I was almost I just felt so defeated in my heart, and I didn't know why. Like I was sitting here like, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to do anything. And then I just kept open. You know how it is when you're bored. I'm going to open Instagram again. I'm going to open, and your feed is consumed with this. And I could see why it's such a good thing to have a consuming feed of things and to get these issues out there. I definitely understand that. And honestly, my philosophy in life is you can't complain about a problem unless you have a solution. And I tell my child this all the time. It is something I have always thought about, like in work, in business. You can't complain about something unless you have a solution. You can't just complain to complain, because that doesn't get anyone anywhere, basically. And so for me, that was where my mentality was coming from. Like, what's the solution to the problem? Like, what do we need to do in the world? How do we fix this problem? Honestly, it was just hurting my heart. Really hurting my heart. I could feel it pulling me away from the Lord. I could feel it focusing my eyes over here when I needed to focus here. And that was scaring me more than anything else. It was the commotion of the world was letting me take my eyes off the Lord. And I'll just be honest with you. That to me isn't worth it in life. That is my number one basis in life. And for something to be able to come in and kind of shift you, that's when the enemy, or whatever you call that kind of force in life, is really doing a work here. And I had to figure out what to do. I was like, how do I do this? What do I do? And how do I deal with it? And how do I deal with it well? Because from the news media, it's we're not dealing with it well. We got to figure it out, right? And I want to be really careful, because I don't want to interject my opinion on you. My main purpose is to show you what God has opened my eyes to. And honestly, y'all, I just was like, nope, you have to get back in the Word. Go have some quiet time with the Lord. Start reading. And I pick up in Romans 12 and I start reading. For another Bible study that I got invited to, they were reading the book of James, and they were reading a chapter a day. James is really short. It's only 5 chapters. And so they were reading James and Jude, I think, this week. And I was like, okay, and I started reading James. And once I was consumed by the word, stuff in the world did not seem as big, because God is bigger than all of this. This does not surprise him, and he is bigger than all of it. And if God is letting it happen, there's a reason for it, right? Okay, so I just happened to be reading through the book of Romans, so this wasn't quoted for any reason. This is where God had me, and so I felt like I needed to document where God had me, and he had me here for a reason, because there is so much richness in Romans in general, but Romans 12 is really, really good. So I'm just looking at it straight out of my Bible. I read out of the NLT Bible. if I'm just reading, because it's the quickest, easiest way for me to understand the material, and I don't have to like, wait, what does that mean? What does that say? Anything like that. So this says, don't copy the behaviors and customs of the world. Let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. You will learn to know God's will, which is good and pleasing and perfect. So don't let the world change you. We've been seeing a lot of people who we should not copy going on in the world at this moment, right? And don't think you're better than you really are. Be honest in your evaluation of yourself, measuring yourself by the faith that God has given us. Just as our bodies have many parts and each part has a special function, so it is with Christ's body. We are many parts of one body, and we all belong to each other. Y'all. He goes on to talk about like gifts. Like if you're given a certain gift, then you need to use that. So like if you're a good speaker, you need to speak out with faith. If you serve well or teach well, that's what you need to do in faith. And you need to encourage if your gift is encouragement. And then you get down to verse 9 and it says, don't just pretend to love each other. Really love them. Hate what is wrong. It doesn't ever say to hate another human being. It says hate what is wrong. Tight to what is good. Love each other with genuine affection and take delight in honoring each other. Never be lazy, but work hard and serve the Lord with enthusiasm. Rejoice in our confident hope. Be patient in trouble and keep on praying. When God's people are in need, be ready to help and always be eager to hospitality. It goes down a little bit further, verse 16, and it says, live in harmony with others. Do not be too proud to enjoy the company of ordinary people, and don't think that you know it all. Now, if this is not what the world needs to hear, I don't know what is. I just don't know. In verse 18, it says, do all that you can to live in peace with everyone. Never take revenge in verse 19. The revenge belongs to the Lord. The Lord will take care of it. And finally in verse 21, it says, don't let evil conquer you, but conquer evil by doing good. The interesting part of all this is 12 lays it out. It's great. This is wonderful. 13 starts off with a bang, right? And I'll just read you one verse in 13, but hear me out. 13 starts off and it says, everyone must submit to the governing authorities, for all authorities come from God. And those in position of authorities have been placed there by God. So anyone who rebels against the authority is rebelling against God and against what God has instituted, and they will be punished. I was like, what? So Paul's like, laying it out just flat. He's like, hate what's wrong, but don't hate people, and love each other and show each other love. Don't just pretend to show each other love. Really care and genuinely care about another human being. In my social media coma that I've been in, the only thing that really hit me, that really got to me, was I was watching this video, and it was from Becky Brichelle, I want to say, and it was like she was interviewing somebody, so it was like just a short clip in her stories, and it looked like to me, I don't know if I should have known these people, but they were like an interracial couple. The man was talking, and he said, I can fix the problem. I know what the problem is. So of course, like, my antennas are up. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, this is what I've been trying to figure out for days, and I can't figure anything out. And all he said was, the problem is that the world needs Jesus. The problem is that we walk around with no hope. The problem is nobody believes that this is real. And if you genuinely believed that this was real, that you had eternity locked up, that you don't have to be afraid, that God's got you, that nothing formed of this world is going to come against God, and you have all of that, you would be the most joyous person in any situation, whether you lived in terrible poverty or was the richest man alive. It doesn't matter if you have God. It doesn't matter. That is the answer. The answer is Jesus. If you have Jesus, if you have the Holy Spirit in you, that is the answer against hate. That is the answer against all the evil of the world. I think that people look at it and they think it's too simple. Like, this can't be it. But that's it. Simple. Done. No problem. I actually went over and visited a friend of mine, and I was talking to her and I'm like, do you think I'm wrong? Like, tell me what you think. And I said, what do you think? I really feel like the enemy is just trying to divert our eyes. Like, I got some work going on over here. I want to pull anybody I can away. I want them to be consumed with the world, and I want them to not look at Jesus. I want them to not look at God. And I said, what do you think? And she is an older lady who's been walking with the Lord for a long time. And she just looked at me and she said, it is spiritual warfare, and that is what's going on here. And I was like, okay, I'm not crazy, okay. I just had to share this with you because I had been feeling so beat down. Oh my gosh, guys, so beat down. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to get myself out of it. I didn't know how to pick myself up. I didn't know how to go out into society. I just felt stuck. And what I was seeing wasn't good. And I was like, how am I going to handle the world now? What am I going to do? And it was like, no, you don't need to do that. You do not need to be conformed by this world. Just like it said in the beginning, don't copy the behaviors and the customs of the world. Let God transform you into the person that He wants you to be by changing the way you think. Then you will learn God's perfect will for you. I think every day we wake up, sometimes it's an intentional choice to make that decision to walk with the Lord, to make that decision to not treat people badly, to make the decision to love each other unconditionally. I had to make that defining decision where I was like, no, I am not going to let the world dictate what I think in my head. And no, I am not going to follow and copy the customs of this world, because this world is fleeting. This isn't good. I am going to keep my eyes on the heavenly realms where God has a place for me, and I am going to fixate myself in Him, in relationship with Him, and I'm going to keep praying, and He's going to tell me, and He's going to push me exactly where He wants me to go. And if my purpose in all of that was just to make this video and tell all of you, then I have done it. And I firmly believe that there's a lot more in my purpose than just making this video. But I had to document where I was, because it was so hard. It was so difficult. It is my purpose to encourage you with what the Lord is telling me. So I hope that in some way this encouraged you. I hope it gave you a different perspective, something different than what we've been seeing and what we've all been consumed with, because we cannot let the customs of this world consume us and consume our thinking. We must keep our eyes on the cross, because that is where our future is. That is where our eternity is. And we must, even in the midst of all this chaos, look at God and say, thank you for saving me. Thank you guys so much for coming over, and I will see you in another brand new video. Bye for now.